Hello, welcome back to the podcast or YouTube or wherever you're consuming this content from. I'm so honored that you're here, and I've got a very special episode today with my friend, Deborah Liter. Hello, Deborah, and welcome.
Hey. Hello, Amy. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me on again. Yeah.
I was just about to say, welcome back. Actually,
Yeah.
your podcast was so popular, the one that you did before. I'll link it here. I'll put it in the show notes about circadian rhythm and effortless energy. It was such a great podcast. I know the listeners enjoyed it so much. And listen, you guys,
Okay.
you thought that one was good. Just wait. That is good. And you should go back and listen to it if you didn't hear it. But
Yeah.
today, Deborah and I are talking about something that's going to be helpful for you, especially if you are struggling to lose extra weight. Or you've got extra weight and you're struggling to lose it. You're in perimenopause or menopause. If you feel like your metabolism is slowed down, and maybe you're even trying the things and you're struggling, you're frustrated with getting your body back, it's impacting your confidence, and it's just overwhelming. And you're a little bit overwhelmed by information. Number one, I want you to know that you are not alone. And Deborah can attest to that. We've both been on our own journey to get to where we are now. And I had to roll up my sleeves. And Deborah, I don't want to spend too long on that because we've got a lot to cover today. You guys go grab a notebook, grab a pen. You're probably going to want to take notes on this one because we're going to get to root causes, which is the problem. Which is the problem, Deborah? Do you agree with that or
Yeah.
not? That there's a lot out there. There's a lot of tests even out in the world right now in their functional test, and
Yeah.
get this test, and there's a promise to it, and do this test. And I was telling Deborah the other day, I was researching for some things, and I saw a girl, the Instagram and Facebook have me pegged now. So now I see all sorts of things about hormone health, menopause, perimenopause, fat loss, all the things in this woman. It was about hormones and ambitious women. And so I guess it, found me. And this girl, I'm saying this girl because I was like, gosh, she's young. Listen, I don't want to take advice from somebody, honestly, even in their early 40s. I know that sounds a little bit snooty, but I'm thinking,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, like early 40s, when you get to your 50s are it's a different story. So this girl is, I'm thinking, well, maybe she's 40. She looks really young, but maybe she's 40. But she made a promise that if you balance your hormones, and she will help you balance your hormones, then you will never be in a bad mood. And that weight is coming off, period, the end. And I wanted to throw my computer because, number one, that's not true. That is not true. You might be in a bad mood because you need to adjust your attitude. I have to adjust my attitude all the time because it's not in a good one. But it was just frustrating. And I just was like, oh, there's so much that you see that. And then come to find out, she's 32 years old. She's 32. Like, I'm not saying that your hormones are not out of balance at 32, but she's 32 years old. And anyway, so here's the deal. Deborah and I are both, I'm 50. You're 52?
I am 52. Yes.
52. And she is a functional practitioner. We connected. We've been great friends for, I don't know how long, Deborah.
Girl, over 20 years, easily, right? Like a long time. Like our kids were small together.
Oh yeah. Now they're grown. Yeah. Okay. So a
Yeah.
long time. So Deborah and I have been great friends for a long time. And we've both been in this pursuit of healthy lifestyles even 20 years ago. Like, you were healthy, I was healthy, we were exercising, working on eating the right things. I mean, we've always been on this journey. We've learned a lot along the way. Deborah has pursued the path. She went from health coach to, I don't want to confuse y'all, but quantum biology and circadian and all of this really deep stuff that's fascinating. So I love, she's my go-to girl. Okay. She's my go-to girl to find out stuff because it's all from an integrative approach, meaning all from a a functional health approach, a natural approach, as natural as possible. And so that's what we're talking
Right.
about today.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely I mean, I've done all the things too, tried all the different approaches, but if you ignore any one of these parts of yourself, you're not going to find complete healing. So we've really got to look at kind of all the parts. And so, it takes like a lot of time to figure that out. And like you said, we're all on a journey, and it does change. It does change. I think mid 40s, early 50s is a time of change, and what you used to do that worked for you doesn't always work anymore. And so you do have to shift. You do have to be open to some new things, and having the right information about your specific body is super important. So, yeah, I totally
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, as you were talking about that, I was just thinking about how, like, this is just nature. This is just the way God created the world, even
Hmm.
plants, trees. I mean, things go in cycles and
Yeah.
seasons, and we have seasons of our life. But learning to deal with it from a healthy
Hmm.
perspective is what we're both about. But you said something before we hopped on. You said at at our age, you can't afford to ignore certain things
Right.
anymore. Like you used to could muster up and push through. And I didn't
Yeah.
realize I was burning through hormones that I couldn't replenish. I didn't realize by, the drive and ambition that I was depleting myself earlier. And
Right.
once it's depleted, it's depleted. So we're talking about that today. And we're talking very specifically about how you really get in a very incredibly personalized protocol because of this HTMA test.
Yeah. So just maybe for people who don't know, HTMA does stand for hair tissue mineral analysis. And I mean, I can run a bunch of different tests, Amy. Like I'm qualified to run, I think, 8 or 9 functional labs. But out
Mhm.
of all the labs I've studied, this one stands out because it does provide just an incredible wealth of knowledge. And like you said before, it's not just knowing stuff. I mean, you can know a ton about your body, but what do you do with that information? Like,
Right.
how is that really going to change your life? How is it going to actually improve your health? And so, what I found is this test actually gives very specific information about you and then I can provide very specific protocols that actually move the needle on the things you're struggling with. So I love this test. And yeah, like we were talking about before, like you can't, when we were in our 20s and 30s, we could push hard and we could maybe afford. I mean, you're paying a price, you don't realize it, but you can kind of ignore your stress levels and all that. But when you get into midlife, you're not going to have the results you want if you continue to ignore your stress and how you manage that. So this particular test really goes into that, and you can really see exactly how stress is impacting your body, how it's slowing down your metabolism, how it is taxing your thyroid and adrenal glands, which are really the key to your metabolism. The key to being able to thrive in midlife is largely due to the strength of your thyroid, but particularly your adrenal glands. Like we want to go into midlife with strong adrenals. And to be honest, by the time we get to mid 50s, our adrenals are kind of burned out, right? Because we've gone through a lot of stuff. So this test really can show what's going on there. And then based on your own result, I can kind of tell you, okay, this is what you need to do, Amy, to improve your adrenal function. And that's going to help with your metabolism. It's going to help you not just get through midlife, but actually thrive, because that's
Right
what
through
we
midlife.
want for
That's what we
ladies. We
want.
don't want
That's
to
right.
just like
Mm-mm.
drag ourselves through it. Like we want to thrive. We
That's
want to
right.
be rocking it. And not we're not talking even about looks, we're talking about how we feel and the energy
Right.
and all of that. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what your question was, but that's my little mini
Well,
sermonette. Sorry. Yeah.
what you said something though, because you're so passionate about this test. I was like, wow, that's so interesting. And um, I was helping Deborah with some branding for her business, and she was telling me more. I'm like, oh, wait, what? And the
Yeah.
reason why it intrigued me, not just because of what it shows of what you had taught me, is because I have spent thousands on test, functional labs test, and interesting results on some of them. It's like, oh, wow, that's really, really interesting. Okay, that's really cool. But there wasn't a personalized protocol per se, like the one on this one. So if you're listening to this, let me just give you let me go ahead and throw it out here now. Deborah and I have partnered up. We've teamed up together. We are accepting a handful of women that are stuck, and we are giving a functional lab personal protocol. We're teaming up with one other person, and it's a high level of empowered accountability. So if you're looking for that change, we are going to offer that for you. So let me just throw that right here, because what I found is what I was looking for wasn't on the market. And I had spent and honestly wasted a lot of money on labs that are okay, it's interesting, but that doesn't help me right now. And you said you can do a whole bunch of other labs, but you love this one for this reason. And because it's able to give so much detailed information about the client. And so what's interesting is we're going to go over my results from my labs. And y'all, I have spent thousands on the last probably 3 years. No, I would say 2 years. And I still didn't have the answers that I needed. That is sad because women are desperate to feel good, and you don't have to spend, you don't have to, you have to make an investment, but you want to make it in the right place. And so that's why she's passionate about this. And it's different from a blood test. What you explained to me about how it's different from blood work is fascinating. Can you just explain why the results that they might be sending to if they're getting on hormone replacement therapy and they're doing blood, might look different from what they'll see in the HTMA?
Yeah, so I'm not knocking blood tests, like blood tests, saliva tests, urine tests, they all have a place. Like they're all super important. But when it comes
I still
to
get blood tests. I still do my regular blood work. Yeah, for sure.
100%. But when it comes to mineral status, HTMA is definitely the best test to do, because how the body works when you have a blood test, say your doctor wants to test your blood levels for magnesium or calcium, these are minerals, calcium, magnesium. The blood always wants to be in a state of homeostasis, meaning the blood is its job is to maintain balance in the blood. So for calcium, for instance, if you have too much calcium or not enough, the blood can either deposit that calcium into tissues, or it can pull from tissues to keep the blood level homeostatic. So it's not really showing where your calcium or your magnesium level is at a cellular level. Like, how is your body using that calcium? How is it using the magnesium? A blood test is not going to show you that. It's going to just show that the blood is stable. So a lot of times people will also send me their blood work, and for instance, their magnesium is within normal range, but on the hair test, it's either really low, or it looks really high because they're under a lot of stress and their body's burning through the magnesium. But it's because the blood is going to keep it good, but the hair is actually telling me how the body's using the magnesium. So I hope that's not too complex, but that's why I love it. It's telling you what's really going on at the cellular level.
I love that. I love that. Okay. So I came to Deborah thinking that, okay, well, here's my labs, and I just want to see what's going on, because I'm like her, I'm fighting for optimal health. And I honestly, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good. I feel like, you know what? I'm managing my nutrition. I've been whole food for a long time. So I made a shift and a pivot in my early 40s. I'm an integrative nutrition health coach. So this is important to me. But I've even up-leveled that. I've even gotten accountability for myself around that. I feel like I exercise at sustainable levels. I'm not I've been in places where I've overtrained, and I'm not doing that anymore. I walk every day. I have a solid stress management practice. I don't work nearly as much as I used to. So I'm thinking like, okay, yeah, but apparently that's not what my body is saying, is it, Deborah?
Well, I want to be careful. It's not that you're not doing well. You're doing awesome, Amy, but this particular test is like a snapshot of like 8 to 12 weeks of your mineral status for your life. And so what I really saw for you on your test is that you've been under a lot of stress. And stress can be good or bad. It's not always like horrible stuff. You traveled overseas, you
Mhm.
had a lot of, celebrations and parties. Those are all good things, but it's stress. And it definitely showed that you had like very super high acute stress, meaning there were big things happening, good or bad. So, um, it's just good to see what's really going on. And also, like you said, you feel like you've managed, you said no to things, you've shut down some things,
Mhm.
but um also I could kind of see where your nervous system is on this test. And what it showed me is that because you've had such high levels of stress for a long time, that your body, your nervous system is almost sort of stuck in what we call the parasympathetic, which is that kind of rest and digest, because you've had to do fight or flight for so long that the body kind of gets into a state where that doesn't come as easy. And this has to do again with, thyroid and adrenals that particularly are kind of burned out. So it just means like, hey, Amy, you slow down a lot, but where else can you slow down? Because you don't want to keep going. You don't want to continue to burn out. Like you want to identify those ways that, okay, I still need to address these things. And from what you told me, it kind of opened your eyes and it's allowed you to really go, you know what? Yeah, there's still more there that I need to look at. Is that
Yes.
true for you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So after our consultation, and I was able to see, and Deborah explained to me so eloquently, so beautifully, like so graciously too, by the way, like just like you did just then. I'm not saying you're not doing a good job, Amy. I mean, that was
Yeah. No,
so
it's not
careful.
bad at all.
Um, but it was a an more than just eye-opening. It was pivotal for me. And this happened the first time I ever did hormone test way back when. I shared that on our last podcast that we did, that I was like, whoa, okay, I need to make some changes. And so was just like that for me, in the fact of, okay, however I'm handling this stress is not actually as healthy as I thought I was handling stress. And I just gave myself an opportunity to stop and feel,
Yeah.
instead of, oh, this is stressful. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, like
Yeah.
acknowledging. So I've been acknowledging that I've got stressful, really high levels of stress in my life right now, as do you, as do everybody. And we all have different
Right.
levels. I've got some outstanding things. I think we go through seasons of, sometimes it's like really high. And I've got some really high level things that are out of my control, and they impact me, and I need to do some things about it. And there's just a lot. And so anyway, all that to say, now instead of just acknowledging, I am aware and I'm sitting in it. And
Yeah.
I called Deborah. I'm like, I have cried and cried
Mm,
and cried. And I think I needed to cry and
yeah.
release and go through this process. So it's allowing me to be curious, to give
Right.
myself a lot of grace, and to recognize that, yeah, I'm okay. And I'm kind of not okay. Like, actually,
Right.
no, this situation is incredibly painful. And I was minimizing the pain that is coming from this
Yeah.
situation. And I think my body's been holding on to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so just at least sitting in it and doing things more in a healthier manner. But I would not have done that had I not had that aha moment. And that's where
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to this test. Is I've had a lot of tests. I've spent a lot of money on test and doing the things, and I didn't have that response. This was the one that I was like, oh, okay, this explains some things.
Yeah. And Amy, like, I hear this a lot from women, and it was a big wake up call for me
Mhm.
when I did my first HTMA and saw that I was depleted. Like I knew I was depleted. I was really on empty, but to actually see it in, black and white, so to speak, validated so much about, oh, I'm not crazy. And you know how we do as women, and even maybe Christian women, how we bypass, we
Mhm.
just kind of
We're
go
supposed to
into
be
these coping
grateful. We're supposed to be
yeah,
thankful. Yeah.
yes. And all that's true, but there can be a point where that's unhealthy. And
Yeah.
so, and I've worked with a lot of midlife women, and many of them have said to me, oh my gosh, this is so validating. I'm not crazy after all. Like, the fact that I'm dealing with this and this and this. And I'm like, yeah, you're actually doing awesome because you've pushed through. But we have learned to push through so often, I think, as women in
Yeah.
midlife that we've got to learn how to step back and take care of ourselves better if we really want to keep thriving and not just really hit a breaking point. So what this test can do is really show you where you are, like where your nervous system is, where your stress levels are, how your thyroid and adrenals are functioning, and if it's less than optimal, then what you can do, like practical things you can do to start healing that, because it's not popping a pill. It's not just taking a supplement. That's not, if you don't address all this other stuff, then those pills and the supplements are only going to scratch the surface. You're never going to get where you want to get. So yeah, this test is a huge wake up call for, it has been for me too. So it's
Yeah.
emotional. Minerals are very connected to your emotions. And so
Oh,
there's a
that makes
lot of patterns.
sense. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot
Wow.
of patterns I can see with this. And even though I'm not a therapist, I'm not going to ever try to, help people with that. But I can see trauma patterns for people and I can at least point it out and go, hey, this is showing that, looks like you've had some trauma at some point in your life. And, you know, go address this. If you haven't addressed it, please go address this. And
Mm.
it's just another layer of healing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, it's so good. A couple of other things that I just want us to touch on is, even though this test revealed in my protocol, which was really helpful, even though I am eating whole foods, I'm eating healthy, there was some shifts that I needed to make actually in my nutrition strategy, some things that were no longer serving me. I had held on to them for a long time, and Deborah was like, okay, you need to eat more. For me, it was more carbohydrates. I've been low carb for so long. Haven't eaten a
Yeah.
white potato. Haven't eaten a white potato in I don't know how many years. I just started adding a little bit of bananas back in my diet. Like I just had a mindset that a lot of people had our age
Yeah.
of low carb, no carb, low carb, no carb. But if I was going to eat a carb, and which I do, I 100% do, I want a French fry. Like I love some French fries. I love some pizza. I love some cookies. So
Yeah.
when I do eat the carbs, that's the ones I want, but I don't want a potato. I'd rather go low carb and then enjoy and
Yeah.
indulge on my carbs. But okay, I needed to shift. And so this test also reveals what type of, is it a metabolizer you are? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. So it tells you your metabolic rate. So basically, you have slow metabolizers or fast metabolizers. 80% of adults, particularly women, you're going to fall into the slow metabolizer category. That's not bad. That's just, fast metabolizers are usually children. And at some point, we shift in that. So it's okay to be a slow metabolizer. But within that, in this test, it will show there's a range. So there's like slow one, slow two, three, four, fast one, two, three, four. Depending on where you fall, it has to do with how your adrenals and your thyroid are functioning. So your metabolic rate has to do with that because your thyroid and adrenals are responsible for how your body produces energy. So yeah, most women are going to be slow metabolizers, but because of that, um, so it'll tell you your metabolic rate and which number you are, and based on that, I can give you some general guidance on, hey, you need to eat this kind of protein. You need to eat a little more complex carbohydrates and maybe a little less fat, even though healthy fats are fine, because your body, your thyroid and adrenals need some love and they need those complex carbohydrates to do that. And also things like potassium, which is so, so important. People, are really low on potassium. A lot of people are, and you get potassium in things like sweet potatoes, like white potatoes. And I'm not saying go nuts and eat a ton of these, but if you're, they've been off your menu for a while, just adding a little bit of that back in, can really help heal that lower thyroid and adrenal function. So yeah,
Which
it's
I think
very
is,
telling.
it is very telling. And Deborah, I just want to say, like, when you're online and you see different platforms, because I've taken a metabolic quiz before on somebody's website and it shows you which
Yeah.
type of metabolism you have. I did a hormone quiz. They said, well, you're a hormone level 4. They have no idea. Listen, y'all, I mean, we have to just use some common sense here. You can't go on and do a 4-minute quiz where it asks you your age, your
Mhm.
weight, your height, and it spits
Yeah.
out information about you. That's not accurate. What is accurate is understanding your own biology, which is
Yeah.
why we're now I'm so lit up about this, because now we can work on healing the thyroid, the adrenals. Deborah's able to understand ratios of the minerals, and she goes over this in depth with you so you understand. With my test also, she saw some things going on with my nervous system. She also, a part of the protocol is going to some digestive health issues. So
Yes.
it's a very specific, personalized protocol specifically for where my body is depleted right now. And just like she said, it's very validating to
Right.
hear these things. But another thing that I love about this particular functional test is that it will also, if you want this, you can get supplements made very specifically just for you.
Yeah. So I work with a company that takes your actual HTMA results and they will formulate the exact, macro minerals. Like if you need calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, boron, these are trace minerals. And these trace minerals, I mean, it's amazing. Like you can be really low on one particular mineral. That's just if we get that up to balance, it's going to make such a difference in your health. Your digestion, yeah, like your digestion needs a little support, Amy. Most people do. Like you actually need more stomach acid so that your body can break down the proteins and the carbohydrates and fats and utilize it better. So getting these minerals in the right spot is going to make all the difference. So yeah, I can do a custom formulation for you based on your HTMA. So you're not just going to Amazon and ordering random, maybe
Yeah.
subpar in their quality supplements. Like a lot of people hear about things like magnesium and they go, "Oh, I need magnesium." So they'll take that, in high doses. But what you don't realize is when you supplement with one mineral, like all minerals are interrelated. So when you supplement with just one mineral, you really run the risk of throwing everything else out of balance. So even though we do need magnesium and it's good, um, if you're just randomly supplementing, you don't realize you could be doing a lot of damage. So anyway, taking this result and knowing exactly how much magnesium you need, Amy, for this stage, it's just really, I love that because there's no guessing to it.
I
It's
love
very
that too.
specific.
Deborah, you said one thing when we started working together. You said this word. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes! It was so
Okay.
validating. Supplement fatigue. I was like,
Oh yeah,
oh my gosh, yes, because I still have a cabinet full of really
yeah,
high quality supplements that I ordered that it was overwhelming. I mean,
yeah,
it was so much. And it was, you got to take this 30 minutes before you eat. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm just glad if I can remember to take it at all. So
yeah.
anyway, I love how simplified this is. I love the personal approach. So let's just kind of recap here. Ladies, if you're in your 40s or above and you're struggling with your energy or struggling with your weight and you feel like you've tried a lot or you don't know what to try, there's a lot of things out there and they're not
Mhm.
bad. But from someone who's spent a lot of money and done a lot, this has given me more information. And this will tell you a lot about your nervous system, your metabolic rate, your minerals, your depletion, also your thyroid and your adrenals, and you need these optimized so you can thrive
Yeah,
in midlife. We are meant to thrive. I believe that God designed us to thrive. I think that our world is depleted of natural minerals. Our world is polluted from toxins and from the way that we live in our culture. And as a culture, we don't even understand healthy rhythms of life. We're so used to technology and hustle, hustle, go, 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 that our nervous systems are like, what? WTF? What is going on
yeah,
here?
yeah.
Right? Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's a very holistic, integrative approach. It's a very complex approach. There is not a one thing that's going to make you lose the weight. It's not a one, it's just not a one size approach. And so you have to really um, address it like this because it's complex.
Yeah, and what I do love about this too, I mean, about going back to the program that we're doing, which is so exciting, is that in the program, we're going to run an HTMA on you and you're going to get your results, but then I'm also going to be able to give we're going to work with Rita, the other lady
Yeah.
who's going to be working with nutrition. So, she's going to be able to take your HTMA results and help formulate a nutrition plan based on that too. So it's just really, it's just all working together. It's just really, a beautiful opportunity to get
Yeah.
really down to what you need. No guessing,
No guessing. The personalized protocol is about no guessing. And so that's what we're going to be able to extract from this program. And then Deborah and I have extensive experience with implementing this change. And we both understand at high levels the psychology that's involved.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the deal. You can have a protocol, but if you don't have the proper support to make lifestyle changes and to make changes, it's just going to be overwhelming to you. And so it has to be, there's something really powerful about using a neuroscience based approach to the program as well, which is where I'm coming in. I'm going to come in as that piece for you and help you identify your triggers, help you identify where you self-sabotage, because you can have a protocol and you can implement even a protocol. You can even implement it for 12 weeks. But if you don't address your behavior, your core driving behaviors, and overcome the things that you've sabotaged, and the reason why you keep sabotaging, it's going to be hard for you to keep up with this new protocol. That's just the way it is, folks. I mean, it's just the way it is. And the other piece of this that I felt was so important, and I even hired Rita separately, was for nutrition accountability. Implementing, most people don't understand how to eat healthy. They don't. I really believe that most people need help. I hear people say, oh yeah, I eat healthy. I thought for years I ate healthy. I could tell you every calorie on everything that I ever put in my mouth. I never touched a fat. I didn't have any healthy fats. I ate grilled chicken, broccoli, and cauliflower, and spinach, and protein shakes and protein bars. I lived off of that. Like there was no deviation from that. It was unhealthy, but I was eating all of these things. I'd go to Sam's and buy all these bars, and I can't even pronounce the ingredients in these bars, thinking that was healthy. So what is healthy? What you might think is healthy may not be. And this is where I believe when it comes to nutrition, it is worth hiring someone to help you. It's worth hiring someone to help you with that. And more than that, it's difficult to implement new nutrition and stay on task. And so accountability is the key here. And so we have a built-in program where you get Deborah, you get me, but you also get 12 weeks worth of one-on-one accountability for your nutrition to help it get better. And this is all from a heart-centered approach, a grace-filled approach, also help to stretch you. So we're going to take even more than 90 days. So if you think that you might be interested in this, reach out to me, reach out to Deborah. Either way, you can hop on a phone call with me. You can hop on a phone call with us. You can hop on a phone call with that. We can answer whatever questions you want, but these spots will fill up fast. They're already filling up. And you can go to thefitsoul.com/midlife fat loss. thefitsoul.com/midlife fat loss to learn more. You can click I'll put this link in the show notes as well. Deborah, I'll put your original podcast that we did. I'll put those in the show notes as well, because that was such a good podcast. And anyway, this was so good. You are so smart.
I just tell you, I'm just motivated because I really just wanted to figure things out for myself, and I did, but then I found I was just super passionate about it. I really think the human body is created beautifully, and we just got to give the body what it needs, because the body is self-healing, the body is self-regulating. It's incredible. So let's just give it the right inputs. And so that's what I'm really passionate about.
Yeah. Yeah, you're super passionate about this, and I just love it. And I just love all the expertise that you have around this field. And I think that this can change lives. And I'm super lit up to partner to put these pieces together, because I had to create my own path. And once I heard Deborah talk about this, I'm like, okay, wait, that's part of this. And then I was like, okay, I think my nutrition's good, and it was, but I needed some accountability. Okay, let me put this piece in place. And I think that's it. Like, you've got to have some
Yeah.
accountability around this. So if you're looking for that, we are your go-to girls. Just come right back here. So
Yes.
anyway, Deborah, thanks so much for coming back. I know we'll see you again. And you
Yep,
guys,
absolutely.
thank you for joining us
Thank you.
today. We love you, and have an amazing rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.